Hey, people, give me just 1 second. I'm just right from the Spanish channel that I finished the live stream over there. So I'm just preparing a couple clips I want to share with you folks. 1 more minute. Hope everyone is having a great weekend. Let me know if you can hear me fine. I think it's working okay. I just finished from the Spanish channel, so it should be okay. No complaints over there. I think I'm missing a video. Where the hell is this thing? Yeah, the China-Taiwan thing, something I like to go through. I mean, the same thing I was just going through in my Spanish channel, but let me just check a couple things here. Yeah, okay. Okay, seems fine. Anyway, Knockface, man, there you are. Here you okay? Thanks, man. Jerry Robbins, 5x5. Jerónimo Bonetti, hablo en español, Fer. Okay, fine. Howdy, all. Hernan Costanzo, Fer, look at that law. I don't know where to take a knife or. Yeah, I mean, as I was saying before, it says that it needs to show, it needs to have and pretty much like an undisputable intent for you to commit violence with it. So, that is, dude, that is almost impossible for them to use against you. So I wouldn't worry that much. I would just, you carry whatever you carry, just try to, do your thing. As long as you're not committing crimes or doing any shady things, it's super unlikely that you'll find yourself in trouble, right? So yeah, that's what I've always done in different countries, and it's usually worked well for me. Just and police will, and I know that it depends on where you are, especially these days, how things are. But in general, if you have a certain appearance, if you go about yourself in a certain way, if you're not looking to get yourself in trouble, it is very unlikely that you'll have problems with police stopping you, or even if they stop you, I mean, I've been stopped at times and they just look at me and just wave me through, even when there's checkpoints and stuff like that. It's kind of your body language, the way even the car, how the car looks, how you look. Do you look like shady as fuck or not? Those are things that always matter. I mean, they shouldn't matter, but they do. That's a natural human behavior. So anyway, where's Matt? No, Matt. No idea where he's at right now. So yeah, let me start with the thing regarding Taiwan and China over here, which I know is something that many of you are worried about, and definitely I'm worried about as well. Going back here, China and Taiwan are really simple. Wouldn't it be like a real simple guide? A really simple. That's not. This is from the BBC, by the way. China and Taiwan, a really simple guide. Shouldn't it be like a real simple guide? Isn't that the way you word that? I think it is. Anyway, the situation with China and Taiwan is escalating by the day. You see it in the military maneuvers. Now, I've been reading a lot lately about it. I still think that most likely, again, China is not Russia. Russia is a lot more unpredictable, a lot more rushed in the way they go about things. China usually doesn't go about in the same way. No, English is really okay. Really, a really simple guide. Okay, thanks for that. They are a lot more cautious, and they don't rush things, and they definitely don't have these knee-jerk reactions at times that Russia seems to be a lot more prone to. I mean, when you look at what Russia has done with other neighbors, yeah, they kind of do this thing. They invade, they bomb, they shell the crap out of whatever they want to take over, and that's what they do. China plans in decades, in generations, and they've been working at this from the start. When Taiwan first declared its independence, which no one seems to want to recognize because of the leverage that China has. I think it's only like 12 or 15 countries that recognize Taiwan as an independent nation, which, you may argue that, oh, well, it used to be part of China or what. Yeah, sure. But the key difference for me is that when China became a communist regime, Taiwan became its own thing. That's where the non-communist politicians ended up going. And since then, Taiwan has very much been its own nation, at least the way I see it. And definitely the way people in Taiwan themselves perceive themselves too. Less than 10% of Taiwanese or people that are living currently in Taiwan identify themselves as Chinese. Less than 10% of people from Taiwan think that they're Chinese. I think like half of them consider themselves like both things. Like, yeah, I'm both Taiwanese and Chinese. In the same way that someone from, someone like living in the United States considers himself like Italian American, because I'm from an Italian family, but I was born in U.S., so I'm definitely American, but I also have my Italian family tree. Okay, you have the right to, identify yourself in any damn way you want. The difference between this and the LGBTQ insanity is that it's about a piece of paper that says, yeah, you were born in this place, therefore you have this nationality, this citizenship, and you were effectively born in this place, in this country, and you have these rights, and you recognize that you are a person of a certain culture along with it, and your antecessors, your parents, your grandparents may have another one, and because of the rights that you have ensured because of them, you can be both things. You can have both backgrounds, and you can feel proximity and closeness to both cultures, right? Now, that is very different from China invading Taiwan and saying, screw that, you're now under the control of the Communist Party of China, and whatever you want to do here doesn't matter. You're ours. Basically, that's what they're looking at doing. Now, I still think they have the long game to play in terms of, we can still squeeze them into surrendering, and to acknowledging that they belong to China, undisputably so. But you cannot deny that they're working a lot on the military side. All of these exercises, this is very reminiscent from when Russia was running similar exercises right next to Ukraine. And this is something that even the mainstream media was saying out loud, that they will be invading soon enough. I mean, many of us thought it would not happen. I would put myself there in that position too, but it ended up happening. This moment right now, I think it's very likely that China will in fact end up invading. I still think it's more likely, though. I mean, it could be 50-50. No idea there how these things should be measured, but I think it's more of a 50-50 chance of it could go either way. At this point, it's one of those fights when people go, it could go either way. Well, this could be one of those cases. It could go either way. They could just decide that right now is the right moment to use military action to achieve their objectives, or they could still try to play the political game, the economic game, and try to achieve it through that. Let me go through some of the comments here. English, really? Okay, so that's good. Renovation. Hey, man, nice to see you there. The BBC are a bit simple these days. Gender and diversity hires abound. Yeah, it is true. That's something that it's very unfortunate, but it's happening all over. They just hire anyone. And how racist is it to just hire people based on the color of their skin, right? How shallow is it to hire people based on their, on their gender? Oh yes, I need a woman of color as a new hire. Isn't that offensive even for the woman of color that is being hired? Anyway, Bamsi Moi. that name, man. U.S. is the biggest warmonger in record history. Okay, yeah, well, no one is perfect, but now the question is, should U.S. get involved in this if it escalates even further? And they're already working in Philippines. You already see the U.S. military taking action there. Should the U.S. defend Taiwan? Well, it is part of their interest, definitely so, given that it's 60% of microchips are made in Taiwan. So if you let the thing is this, guys, if you let China take over Taiwan, you're no longer the world superpower that you are this up until this moment. You're no longer the your currency is no longer the backbone of the world's finance anymore. So you can not take part of this, and a lot of people definitely are rooting for that. But you're looking at a country that will lose a lot of its status in the world, and the United States relies on that, on that role. If you're not the world's superpower, if you're not the most powerful military force in the planet, if you're not the currency that the world uses anymore, then your economy will suffer, and that will translate into the same thing I covered in videos. You will see, drop in the level, the standard of living of people, along with the economy. And the US dollar is the thing that keeps the economy afloat in the United States. And the power of the US dollar is directly linked to how much they can or cannot influence the global scenery that you see now. So if you step down from that position, the economy will follow. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it will happen sooner than you think. Gas prices shot up 30% in the last few days, and it's not good that the new president of Brazil is pro-China and not pro-American to purposely weaken the US dollar. It's a mistake to trust China. Well, yeah, sure. I don't think anyone trusts China. I think you don't have much of a choice. That's where things get complicated. Now, for example, with Brazil now working in the same line economically, even politically as well, because now Brazil has a left-wing government along with Argentina and many other countries in South America. It's no coincidence. It's no accident that most of Latin America is today left-leaning. Maybe not culturally as much, because that also has to be said. If you think that culturally Latin America is more woke than, say, United States, you're wrong. That's not the way it goes. But politically, mostly because of a lot of influence from China and from Russia that have been operating while the United States kept sleepwalking and ignoring its own continent, China moved in. Russia moved in as well, and have been operating and supporting a lot of this left-wing politics that you see. And in many ways, the left-wing culture that you see is strongly supported by Russia and China, that love the idea of a weaker Western world. Knockface, nice to see you there, man. I'm still not convinced China has the balls or the means to take Taiwan. If they could, they would have by now. If you get a chance, watch Lowry and Spurnat. Okay. I agree with you, Knockface. They are 50-50. I agree with you that they don't have the balls to do it right now. If it had been Russia, they would have invaded already. If it had been Russia, yes, we invade. We have tanks. We have bombs. Yes, we take piece of land we want. So if it had been Russia, it would have been. You would have seen Putin dancing in Taiwan already, or drinking vodka, or shaking, or whatever the hell he's doing these days. So I don't think they dare do it. I don't agree with you in terms of the means. I mean, it's super obvious that they have the means to invade Taiwan right now. I mean, if you look at some of these numbers, it is super obvious that they have the power to invade Taiwan. Not only invade it, I say that China has the power, has the manpower, has the weapons, has the military to not only invade Taiwan, they can invade and take over Taiwan in a matter of days. Even in a day, if they move, they can take Taiwan in less than a day. Because if you compare the forces, I mean, talking about China and Taiwan, only these two, right? China, 2 million total active forces, 2 million guys ready to invade. Ground forces, almost a million. Taiwan, 94K. Man, you have 10 times. You look at the Navy, you look at the Air Force, the reserves. There's no comparison. They have nothing here, man. You know, and unless they have a lot of support from the West, from the United States, from NATO, from everyone else, unless they have a lot of support from the West, they haven't got a chance. And this isn't Ukraine. The difference here is that you're looking at a smaller island that can be invaded very quickly, and the forces they have, the way in which the initial not the initial attack, but comparing what happened when they moved on Kiev and how that went so terribly wrong, with miles of tanks running out of fuels and getting bombed and blown up by special forces that had already been preparing for such a all of that. I don't see it happening in Taiwan. I don't think that even the people are the same. Ukrainians are pretty ballsy, predetermined people, and they hate the guts of Russians that are invading them. In Taiwan, I don't see that same. I mean, I could probably be wrong about this. I just don't see that the average Taiwanese will fight the same way that your average Ukrainian. And also keep in mind, the invasion of Ukraine first started in 2014. 2014 was when they first invaded Ukraine. Those famous little green men that no one wanted to acknowledge, that was the initial invasion. So since then, you're talking about almost 10 years of growing up in a society where your neighbor is invading, bombing, and attacking you. That hasn't happened in Taiwan yet. There hasn't been a single bomb dropped from China in Taiwan. So there's still this illusion of, well, maybe we'll be just okay. Maybe they won't start decapitating people, blowing up buildings, destroying everything, raping, murdering, and pillaging. Maybe we don't have any of that. We'll just surrender to China and life will go on as normal. There's somewhat of a higher chance of that happening with Taiwan, at least the way I see it, than them presenting the resistance that Ukraine has. Anyway, but basically going back to the question there, I think that Taiwan has no chance against China on its own. I think that's super clear based on what we see there, right? China is. Hey, you think Argentina, the people of Argentina support Mike Rivera? Hey, Fernando, you think that Argentina and the people of Argentina support China? I think there's a lot of left-wing mentality in Argentina, thanks to, 30, 40 years of left-wing politics pretty much ruling everything. So I think they're a lot more, they sympathize a lot more with China, and they sympathize a lot with Russia in Argentina, right? Of course, the conservative right-wing guy will probably not, but if you look at what you have in average, the influence in Latin America, not only in Argentina, but in general, there's a lot more support for anything communist than you would have thought. Going back to your question, China is authoritarian to their own people. So based on what has happened over the last few years, why would more countries trust the Chinese currency now? Well, if for the same reason you see them trust the country in general. If you look at the power that China has right now, even though it doesn't compare to the United States still. And as it keeps on growing, this axis of influence, the BRICS, Brazil, China, Russia. So uh, Russia is surviving just as well, in spite of sanctions, in spite of not having much of a military victory in Ukraine. Remember, they were supposed to take Kiev in a matter of weeks. They were supposed to take, according to super conservative patriot Tulsi Gabbard, that lovely, beautiful, strong woman, Tulsi Gabbard, said that Russia would take over Ukraine in just a matter of days or weeks at the most. That was last year. And since then, they didn't take Kiev. They, in fact, lost a lot of what they had initially invaded. So it is still a bloody, horrible war, and it will probably be so for years to come. But it's not a matter of people trusting them or not. I'm pretty sure that the average Chinese doesn't like the Communist Party either. But after so many years, what choice do they have? They basically, surrendered and accepted that this is the hand they've been dealt. Chinese people will just accept that they live under a authoritarian communist regime, and that's the way it is. And for people in Russia, it's kind of the same thing. Maybe Russia is a little bit more westernized because of the proximity with Europe and some of the cultural similarities that especially the younger generations looking towards Europe as something to imitate and look up to. You don't have any of that in China. The average Chinese could be from fucking Mars compared to what you have in the West. So China is already what it is. Now, working along with Russia, authoritarian regimes getting together, now adding Brazil to the mix. The average Brazilian does not support communism or Soviet communism nearly as much as your guy in China or Russia. But again, years of left-wing operating agenda in Latin America, you see it in Brazil as well. That's why Lula has managed to go back and return to power, a man that should be in prison right now. The same thing happened in Argentina with Cristina Kirchner. You had Mauricio Macri, Mauricio Macri was the president that Argentina, I mean, you couldn't have hoped for a better, in spite of the things he, of course, did wrong, like anyone, but the guy had, liberated the economy, and the peso, the Argentine peso, was a 1 to 19 exchange rate with the Argentine peso, with the US dollar. $19. You know how much it is now? 500. Back then, they were complaining that he was doing everything wrong. He couldn't do anything right. Now, with the country completely destroyed, 100% inflation, they don't even criticize the guy in public. Now, all of those actors, all of those activists, all of the celebrities that criticize the former president now don't say a damn thing. That's what you have. It's amazing that in this time that we live in, you go back to seeing this mass insanity where people just accept things they know to be untrue, but that's how it works. Yeah, anyway, sorry for the long rant. Let me go back here to some of the things I want to talk about. Knockface, oh, there we go. About the only upshot for a Chinese invasion of Taiwan would be to invade during a weak American administration. Well, you cannot get much weaker than this. So if that's what they're thinking about, they probably want to invade while Joe Biden is present, right? If you want to invade while you have a weak president, you probably want to do it now. So yeah, that's maybe another incentive for them to consider. The original Osok, hey man, nice to see you there. Herfel, I was working Sunday, Thursday for the last few months, but back to Monday or Friday, so I can catch this. Okay, awesome, nice. Bam Sememoy, if China attacks Taiwan, we are officially in World War III. Man, are we in World War III? I mean, some would say that we already are, given that we now know that NATO countries are operating. I mean, it's not that you have, you know, a lot more than some, you know, soldiers operating and mostly doing a teaching and an instructor role, most likely. But you already have in Ukraine a war that is pretty much going to be determining the way in which the world goes. Depending on how Ukraine goes, if Russia takes over Ukraine, they have Belarus, they have Ukraine. They definitely move to Moldova. They already have that sliver of Transnistria, whatever the hell that name is. So they already have their foot there in Moldova. So obvious next thing to do is move to Moldova and then keep on moving to whatever they can claim until someone puts a stop to it. But again, Russians are not exactly reasonable, level-headed people. I mean, they have very clear goals. They have their ideas. They know what they want. And if the idea is rebuilding the Soviet empire by annexing everything they lost, well, that has to be stopped, or they will pretty much take over. I mean, they are even convincing people that Finland should be Russian because back in the day, everything belonged to Russia, right? But again, yeah, you could even argue that we're already in World War III right now. I mean, that's the way Russians think right now. Russians already think that they are in World War III. It's them against the West. That's the average Russian mentality for a lot of them. Knockface, military speaking, modern China is a paper tiger, in my humble opinion. Yeah, but against Taiwan, yeah, fighting. And again, you're talking someone that has, a sizable force combined with Russia. The only question that matters here is, can Russia and China together beat NATO? And I think the answer is still very much a clear no. Russia, along with China, cannot beat NATO, at least as of right now. Would it be bloody? Would it be a huge, massive mess? Yeah. But I think that not moving while you still can and allowing them to make these gains only increases the chance of a real World War III in which everyone is blowing one another on a larger scale. You have to make sure there's a disparity of force that reassures that the bully will not dare attack, because if not, he gets destroyed. As you stay put, as you allow them to keep growing, invading, and getting away and getting more balls, I think it's more dangerous. Anyway, that's my take on it. The original also, buy the books. They are great. And check out the Purple Survival Knife from Editor. Thanks, man. My knife over there. They want to eat that. I like my knife. I mean, that's why I designed it that way. But also, I have not only my books, which, by the way, thanks for the plug there. Books available there in the links below, as always. I also have my games and movies channel, which, yeah, again, promoting that too. Check it out there. There's the game that I play, Star Citizen, which is a love-hate relationship that I have with it. But right now it's free to play. So if you want to play Star Citizen for free, if you like video games, check out there in the description of the video. You will have, it's called Gem Reviews, my video games and movie channel, and also a movie that I liked that I'm recommending there for you guys to check out. Anyway, that's the plugging of my other channels and so on. China using Taiwan to lure other countries for a fight. They could have done this decades ago. They needed to build their wealth, allies, and technology first. I think if you look at China declaring war on the entire world and getting away with it and making money out of it, I think that the leak from Wuhan was the first strike. I think that's when all of this started, really. They allowed something with complicity from actors within the United States, such as Fauci. They allowed a deadly disease to spread in the entire world while they made money out of it, killing millions of people. How messed up is that? And they didn't have to answer for any of that. China will never answer for what they did in that lab and what they did to the rest of the world. Why aren't we talking about that? Why isn't something that's being mentioned and discussed? How will China make up for what they did? Should they respond, and to what extent? All things that you don't even see any of that being mentioned. It doesn't matter. Yeah, there's a couple more topics that I want to move to, but let me first go through some of the last questions there. Private gun ownership. Yeah, they don't have guns in Taiwan. It's like nothing. China is using Taiwan. North Korea as a military industrial complex of China and Russia. They get their blueprints from them to build hypersonic missiles. Yeah, North Korea is pretty messy on its own. Well, thanks. There are more. Yeah. Yeah, that is a point. Uh, the original OSAC. There are more hunters in the U.S. than all of the soldiers of all armies in the world combined. Just hunters, and they are just as a fraction of total gun owners here. This is unintended by our founding fathers. The way in which that benefits freedom in the United States is domestically. The moment you start talking about invading and fighting, I mean, man, I get what you're saying, original OSAC there, but the average hunter is not a warrior, is not a soldier. I mean, couldn't be further from that. And let alone, how many people are really hunters? How many hunters do you really have instead of just gun owners? And the average gun owner is just someone with a few bucks that went to a store and bought a gun. Having a gun doesn't make you a fighter by any stretch of the imagination. Doesn't make you a soldier, a warrior, a badass. You can have all the guns in the world, but unless you have the training and the determination to use it, and most people don't have professional training in the use of firearms. Most people that own guns never took a single class of defensive shooting, let alone anything in terms of moving in groups and operating and clearing rooms. All of that is, they've never done any of that. They one in 1,000, would I say, gun owners had that kind of training? I'm probably being generous. How many people that actually took? Let me know there in the comments. From improvised pool. How many people? How many gun owners do you know? And how many of those gun owners went to a serious professional instructor or a serious shooting class? Probably very few of them. Conscious movie reviews. I don't trust the Taiwanese president. She talks about the fourth industrial revolution like a globalist. And she probably is. We may be fools. She could be playing both sides, secretly pro-globalist and pro-China. Conscious movie reviews. That's a good point. But the thing is this: whenever you have a politician, in many ways, they have to play both things. I mean, the United States right now is pretty much in a collision course with China. Yet, how many American businesses work along with China? How many Chinese businesses are being ran by Americans or American interests? That's the globalist part of the globalist elite. They operate everywhere. If Raytheon sells weapons for Ukraine, they make money. Now, if Gazprom from Russia sells gas, they make money too. They have their fingers on all of it, both sides. Whatever happens, they benefit. If Russia wins, guess who's going to be benefiting? You think the globalist elite will fall because the anti-gay Putin wins? They wouldn't give a damn fuck about it. They're the Disney. I'll give you the perfect example. Look at what Disney does. What is it that Disney does? Who owns Disney? What message does Disney promote when they have all of this LGBT agenda? Losing money, hundreds of millions of dollars. They don't give a fuck. They do it nonetheless because the message is more important, because the agenda, the ultimate goal is more important. Now, at the same time, when that same children movie is released in China, they cut away, they edit the LGBT plus part. They just cut that away. If there's a complete movie that is all woke garbage, they don't even release it in China. They're okay with that. They don't have a problem. They operate on both sides. That's what you have to understand. They don't care. I mean, as long as they're in power, they couldn't care less. Yeah, and I want to talk about a little bit about that, the economy in terms of how it's looking right now. Where is that thing? Right, move this here, about there. Nope. Just 1 second. Right. In terms of the economy, the recession that is looking. Yeah, but before I go into this, because I'm kind of running out of time, maybe for another. Yeah, and I have several videos dedicated to this, but I want to talk about something else. You probably know about our friend here, Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is the biggest. It's not this guy. This guy is not Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is like the biggest YouTuber there is, 100 million subscribers or whatnot. It's by far the largest YouTuber there is. I think that's the case. And he does videos like giving away money, millions of dollars, gave away an island at once at some time. Anyway, he does these things that especially the younger audience, they love it and they watch a lot of this stuff. Well, turns out that the guy he works with is this dude right there that now identifies as that, right? That's the logo of Mr. Beast, and this is Chris Tyson from Popular Channel, identified as well. There you go. And there's a few things about this man that are, well, very much in common, very much in line with all of these people that have this gender dysphoria thing. But this is the guy. This is the man right there. This is the guy that now dresses up. This is his wife, his little baby. Now, if you tell me this is not a mental disorder, how could you possibly not understand that this is a serious mental disorder? A man that is happily married, or a man that married a woman and has a child, all of a sudden, yeah. No, I was trapped in the body of this dude all along. I was trapped in here. This isn't me. This isn't my body. What has, and did you see that? This is a boy. So this guy is already dressing his son like a little girl. That's pink. I have 3 boys. I don't have a single piece of fabric that is pink in my house other than what my wife uses, right? My kids don't use pink clothes. I don't dress my 4-year-old in pink. I wouldn't put pink clothes on a baby boy. This man is dressing his son in pink. Now, the wife that has already divorced him, which I don't think she had much of a choice there, but what were you thinking when your husband said, you know what, let's get him a little pink dress? Okay. But this is what they're doing to us. They're convincing us it's just a color. It doesn't mean he's a girl. Well, yes, it does. When it's a little baby, yes, it does. When you dress a little baby in pink, it's because you want a little girl, not a little boy. Okay? Oh, but you're so narrow-minded. You're so close-minded. You're old school. Yeah, okay. But look at what this man is doing now. And then there's the even shadier thing that he posted on Twitter that I cannot even say in YouTube, because if not, I get demonetized. And I'm not about to do that because I'm not damn Mr. Beast. I cannot afford to destroy my own channel. But this is what this man was saying. This is what this man was saying about what got him very happy, very excited. And it involves, I would even say just don't look it up because you don't want that crap in your search history. But it involves anime and little cartoons of little children, and it is very fucked up. That's what he erased that tweet but it doesn't make it go away. It is still, out there. But this man that has an obvious unhealthy fixation with little children, boys, is now part of the largest YouTube channel there is, and he's not going away. He has the full support of the Mr. Beast guy. I don't know his name, but Mr. Beast is, his good pal there, Mr. Mine. Well, anyway, that's what you have there. This man also would dress up his son with high heel shoes. That's also, and he posted, he said something about slaying, like wearing, and I don't know if this is the same one.
King. Say, I'm Chris. Oh. Slay.
I don't think he's. Let me know if you know for sure. Let me know in the comments there. But let me know if it's the same guy. But it's basically the same thing. This man.
Can I stand up? Show us what you got, King. Say, I'm Chris. Oh. Yeah, you're Chris. Slay. 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 Slay.
Slay, like you're killing it, right? That's what I think. That, I mean, I'm not a pervert, so I don't know exactly the kind of language they use, but I would assume like slaying is like killing and defeating your enemies and what slaying. I think that like you're empowered and strong, you're slaying it, you're killing it. Is that like catwalk talk? I don't know. I don't do fashion. I don't have any clue. But all I see here is a man with a little boy, and he's putting little, and it's so fucked up that little shoes like that even exist. I guess it's for like a very small woman, but he's putting that in his son. And then they wonder why kids end up this way. Then they were, he's just choosing this. Bullshit. That is a lie. No kid chooses this for himself. You do this to this kid. You dress him in drag and parade him around, and you celebrate. And the poor little kid, because he's a child, because he's almost a damn baby, all he sees is approval from the parents. There was this guy, I cannot remember his name, but there was this guy that homosexual. He said that he ended up that way because his parents didn't raise him. His mom, his father, they were all working. He was raised by his grandmother. And you know what the grandmother did? The grandmother dressed this man, this boy, the grandmother dressed the boy like a little girl all the time. And whenever she dressed him as a girl, and she managed to make him act out and talk in a feminine way like a little girl, the grandmother congratulated and celebrated him. So whenever he was dressing like a girl, he had the attention of the grandmother. Whenever he was dressing like a normal boy, no, that got him nothing. And you wonder why this guy ended up like that. And that's just one way in which they groom children, one of the ways in which they destroy a poor child, defenseless child. And then they end up this way, of course. How else would it be? Anyway, thanks, man. There, Knockface, for the super chat. Much appreciated. Furfel, the big U.S. story this week seems to be the choice of Anheuser Busch to choose a Troon for Bud mascot, sparking a major boycott. I may be mistaken, but I think this is backlash may have legs. I hope it does. Yeah, I know about the Moldan. Anyway, the same insanity that you see here, right? The same thing that you see here. But you know what, God, man? It's Disney, these companies, multi-billion-dollar interests involved. Why do they do it? I mean, are you really telling me that they didn't know that having an insane guy dressed up like a little girl promoting their beer would not destroy their brand? They don't care. They have the money for it. They're the people that print the money. They don't even have to print it. They just hit a key on a keyboard and give themselves more money. They don't care about money because they already own that. What they want to own now is us. They want to enslave us. They want to make sure we are the weakest, most pathetic possible consumer there is for them, for their product, for their brands. They want weak people. They want weak men, weak women, weak children. They want a weak, easy to control society that they enslave. They basically, that's the way they're thinking. That's the way the elite thinks. That's the only possible conclusion I can come up with, because there's certain things that are super clear for me. And, follow me down this rabbit hole. Give me a little bit of your attention and let me know if you agree with me or not, or if you think I'm completely, full of shit or not. But follow me for a couple minutes. The food industry. Who owns the food industry? The same companies that own the media, the tech companies, the weapons, the media, the pharmaceuticals own the food companies as well. It's all the same globalist elite. And what is it that they do? Trash food, shit. That's what keeps you fat, lazy, stupid, your mind blurred. But why do they do that? Because it's money. They make more money. The more you eat, the more you shove cheap, shitty, trash food, junk food down your throat, the fatter you get, the more you eat, and the weaker you are, and the more sick you get as well. So they make money by selling you more food than you need. They make money when you get sick. When you get sick and you go to the doctor, what doctor ever told you, you know what? You have to stop eating. Stop eating. Fucking stop. Don't eat for a week. You'll feel better. Whoever told you that? No one. Have you ever stopped eating for a full week? Let me know there in the comments. What was the most you went into not eating? Like fasting for a day or two, 2, 3, 1. Try not eating. And, this is something I've been doing with my wife, and I have kids, and and it gets complicated at times. But every now and then we have just 5 p.m. or so, tea, nothing else. Give it a try. No matter who you are, what you are, just don't have dinner and go to bed tonight. Just don't have dinner, or whenever you can. Don't have dinner. Stop eating right now. Go to bed. You may feel a little bit hungry when you're about to go to sleep. You'll wake up feeling fantastic. You'll feel great. The benefits are amazing and self-evident. You will see this immediately. But why tell this to people? Why educate people about these things? No, make sure people eat until they drop dead, or even better yet, make sure people eat until they're sick, and then we sell them drugs, and then they sell them the super expensive medical treatment that they shouldn't have needed in the first place if we hadn't made them sick. And it's not always the same everywhere. This is particularly bad in U.S., where there's almost no control on what's being sold for consumers in terms of food and such. In Europe, you have a lot more, especially with kids. There's certain things you cannot even put in TV. Candy, I don't think you can do like advertising candy for children. And they definitely did a ban in terms of using like cartoon characters in candy and cookies and junk food. You can't do that either. So there's a little bit more of that, and it shows, because you look around and you don't see the same number of morbidly obese people. Less morbidly obese people means less profit for the people selling you that, and it means less profit for the company selling you drugs to keep you alive when the food you eat is making you sick. But then we come to this. Why is it that they're willing to lose so much money, invest so much in promoting this depravity, this agenda of perversion? Well, I can tell you why Russia is interested in doing this. I can tell you why China is more than happy in promoting this all over the West, why they fund left-wing political parties across South America and in the United States. They're this weird, the big difference between a Chinese commie, a Russian commie, and an American commie, the commie you find in an American university. One will be pro-LGBT, the other one will be strictly against it. That's the main difference, because they're operating against your interests. But why is it that globalists see this as a benefit? Because the only conclusion I can come is they weaken the society they want to control. And they definitely want to control us. Anyways, sorry for the long rant, but that's something I wanted to go through. Soviets did have an empire. It was a union. And yeah, of course it did. And they won. Yeah, Soviets did have an empire. It was a violent, horrible empire like any other commie regime that was enforced through violence and terror. And even then, it failed. So imagine how good it must have been to live under that. Ask Ukrainians about Holodomor, about millions of people starving to death. Ask any Polish if they want to live under a Soviet satellite, under a Soviet communist regime again. Probably not. They probably don't want to be a commie regime again in Poland, in Latvia, any former Soviet country never wants to go back to being a Soviet country again. Why would that ever be? Anyway, Knockface, man, thanks again for the super chat. How is this child sexualization in Spain, Europe? You alluded to things being much worse in the EU. Is it better or worse? No, I'm pretty sure it's a lot worse in US. No, it's a lot. I will tell you right away. The thing again, the thing about targeting children specifically, the thing about a child walking into Planned Parenthood and getting hormone treatment at those ages. I mean, it changes from country to country. But for example, in Switzerland, you would think that Switzerland is a pretty, in many ways, a globalized elite country. That's where Davos goes, right? So, very shady elitist things going on in Switzerland. But you know what they passed recently a law on? There's just two genders. In Switzerland, there's a law that now says don't waste time. There's only two genders. You're either a man or a woman. Anything else, it's not legally recognized. Don't waste your time. It's no longer debated. It has been decided by the state that there's only two genders. In Switzerland, that's the way it goes. Imagine passing in the United States a law that says that there's only two genders. That would be impossible. It's unthinkable. Yet they did it in Switzerland. In many of the Nordic countries that are very fucked up in its own way with all of the gender and sex stuff. But they're recently moving more towards protecting children from this. And the kind of thing that you can do in the United States, you can't go to any country. I mean, there's many countries in Europe that you can't just go pay someone to have a baby implanted. And it has to be someone that does it, not for money. Maybe in some countries, a family member, like for example, if you can't have a child and your sister wants to bear your child, she can do that, right? But you can't pay someone to do that in many countries. That's illegal. So there's many things that are a lot more conservative in what laws allow or not in Europe, more conservative than in the United States. Yeah, but by far, sure. Budweiser, Disney, Nike, these are big corporations pushing the woke agenda because they are paid by investors through BlackRock and Vanguard. They don't want to lose money from them versus from us. No. Conscious Movie Review. Disney belongs to BlackRock. It's not a matter of who gives who money. It's all theirs. Disney belongs to BlackRock. And the other companies that you see there that are not BlackRock or Vanguard, they belong, those other companies, they belong. I mean, it's so interconnected. They hide themselves in, it's just like a 15% or 20%. No. If you start adding all of this percentage, they all own one another. So Disney is the elite. It's not that it wants to get money from the elite. They are themselves already that. Loss of trade in China could be more devastating than war itself. Yeah, of course, Oliver Overson. Yes, exactly. So, yeah. That is that's definitely a possibility. A husband and father goes trans, loser. Sorry. yeah. Not even, I wouldn't even say loser. I'm calling mental disorder. I'm calling gender dysphoria. And talking about guys in the military, I don't remember the name right now, but there's a former Navy SEAL that identified as a woman and became trans. So this guy, former Navy SEAL, war veteran, shows up with a dress, says, I'm a woman right now. I identify as a woman. I'm a woman. Years later, now recently, the guy detransitions. He goes back to being a man. And he's now saying, I was sick. I was messed up. I had serious mental problems. I had a serious mental disorder, and no one helped me. All they did was tell me, yes, you're a woman trapped in a Navy SEAL's body. So transition, and I transitioned. And when I dressed up like a woman, I got more recognition. I was celebrated. I was considered more of a hero than when I was a veteran, just by wearing a dress that was so tempting. That was something that, I just lean towards so much, because I mean, you're more of a hero than actually being a veteran. Why wouldn't you feel that way? Imagine how it feels for a child, the attention you get when you dress as a little girl, and everyone is how brave, you're so strong, yeah, yay, you're the bravest little trans kid in the planet. That just, you're destroying a kid, right? You're destroying that kid's life. And it's getting, I want to go through some of the demonic, and this is what I want to end this live stream with. It's not a matter of me being mean and bad. This has very real consequences. This is a little boy from Argentina that is no longer with us, Lucio Dupuy. Lucio Dupuy passed in a very brutal way. It has a toll on me whenever I cover these things, because it eats up your soul when you read about these things. The things that they did to this poor little boy are, I mean, if there is a hell, they should be frying in it right now. These two monsters, these two horrible scumbags. One of them, I think this one is the actual mother of the child. She divorced and she found love in this animal right here. These two women, these two monsters, the things they did to this boy, I can't repeat here. Just let your imagination do the rest. It's, you see him bruised here. You see how they broke his fingers, and he's still smiling in so many. This is the more soul crushing part about it, is how much this boy smiled in spite of that, what these two monsters were doing to him. And it's not just one. You know how much more violence there is in houses like this? Not according to me, according to the BBC. The BBC says that in households where two parents have been born with the same genitals, right? You know what I'm talking about? In those households, at the very least, 30% more violence among themselves, against their kids, against whatever poor soul is caught in there. 30% more violence. They don't care. They don't give a damn. They just promote this. They will give a child. You know how many times the father tried to get custody from his son again? They wouldn't give it to him, because you can't beat these two. It's like that Family Guy episode where Quagmire's dad, dressed as a trans, walks into a bar and starts watching Prawn on the cell phone, and the bartender says, "Ma'am, you can't watch Prawn on your cell phone." And she goes, "No, it's okay. I'm trans." And the bartender says, "Oh, okay. So you can do whatever." Okay. The bartender says, "Okay, do whatever you want all the time." That's what we're living now in. I tweeted that little clip if you want to check it. That's how we live now. You can do whatever you want all the time because you wave that flag. You have that flag. It's not just one isolated incident. It's countless. It's being hidden. There's an entire agenda around this. This is in UK. Savannah, Rockhill, it's the same thing. In UK, one of these brave women that finally comes out as LGBT bullshit, whatever. Super brave, super brave. Well, so brave and so strong. They're the strongest, bravest Disney, and this woman, yeah, beaten to death. Little girl, because yeah, that's how it goes. She killed her girlfriends. There you have it, right? That's how we live. That's how we take care of our children in the world we live in now, in the society we have right now. Okay, guys, just a couple more and I'll go. Okay, for all my TMS friends, I might suggest a good Bud Light alternative. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, boycotting, but just don't give them your money. Just find something else. Yeah, I hardly ever ate. Anyway, thanks guys for all the support. Furfel, yeah, I covered that one already. Davos, yep. Do you think things can really change through voting? I think we're way past. I think that, yeah, article, yeah, I think they can if you have enough of them, not just barely, because if not, you're kind of screwed. But if there's enough pressure, if there's enough boycotting of crap like the Budweiser Light thing, if there's enough people voting a certain way, encouraging certain politics, having more balls, calling these things out. Don't be such cowards. And but I get it. If you talk the way I do, you lose your job, right? If you say the things I say, many doors close for you. So people are scared, and people don't want to give up their opportunities. And even what I find more disgusting is people that already have a good thing going and they just Chris Beck was a Navy SEAL guy. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I find. But have guts, be men, have balls, and for women, have ovaries, have guts in the way in which women can have courage as well, right? That's one of the things that I like in Argentina. We say that when a guy is courageous and has guts, yeah, he has balls. And when a woman is the same, no, we don't say, oh yeah, she has balls. No, she has ovaries. That's what women have, right? Well, damn, she has her own thing going, and she is brave and strong, not in the woke LGBT crap way, but in the way that women, strong women, mothers, courageous women can also be in their way as well. That is also something that we need a lot more of these days, right? This shit that you saw here, these monsters, these animals, these are not brave women. They're not. They're evil, twisted people that have been encouraged into their evil ways by a sick agenda that is being forced upon all of us. All right, guys, it's gonna be then all for now. See you on the next video. Take care. Have a great day.